Thank you for joining us today on American English Daily. Today we'll be exploring a pronunciation topic, how to pronounce final S. Before we begin, please make sure that you have gone and watched my Introduction to Pronunciation video, which discusses the difference between voiced and voiceless sounds. It will be important for you to understand those basics before you move forward in this topic. Okay, let's get started. Final S in English is very important. With nouns, the final S can distinguish singular from plural. For example, a book, many books. And with verbs, the final S can distinguish third person singular from other forms. For example, I work, he works, she works, it works. Therefore, if you want to sound accurate and grammatically correct when speaking English, it's important to be able to pronounce the final S correctly so that the listener can hear it and distinguish it. In English, there are 3 different ways to pronounce the final S. S, Z, is. And there is actually a very simple rule to help you determine which of these endings you need to say. First of all, let's look at some examples in each of these categories. Waits, stops, packs, plans, jobs, calls, finishes, boxes, pages. In order to know which pronunciation you should choose for the final S, you need to look at the last sound, not the last letter, the last sound before the S. Let's go back and look at our first example in the S category. Wait. You'll notice that wait ends with the sound T, and T is a voiceless sound. Therefore, we are going to choose the voiceless S for the S pronunciation. Now let's look at our example in the Z category. Plan. Plan ends with the sound N, and N is a voiced sound. Therefore, we're going to choose the voiced Z as our pronunciation for the S. Plans. On to the third category. Our first example, finish, ends with the sound sh. Now this is a buzzing sound, sometimes called a sibilant in pronunciation. And if we have one of these buzzing sounds, s, z, sh, ch, j, we need to add an is ending for the S ending. This category is important because is, unlike s and z, will add an extra syllable to the word. So you'll notice our example finish has 2 syllables, finish. But when we add the S ending, it now has 3 syllables, finishes. Let's look at another example in this category. This one is often the hardest one to master because of that extra syllable that we're adding to the word. Let's look at the example box. The word box has 1 syllable, box. When we add that is ending, boxes, we add an extra syllable, boxes. Let's look at a few more examples and let's practice applying this rule. I will say a word without the S ending, and I would like you to add an S ending and decide how it should be pronounced. Say it out loud. Try it out. See if it sounds right. Then I will say it, and you can check your answer. Let's begin. Class. Classes. The is ending. Item. The word item ends with the sound which is voiced. So I'm going to say items with a Z ending for the S. Items. Shoe. Shoe ends with a vowel, and all vowels are voiced. Ooh. So once again, I'm going to add the z ending. Shoes. Hope. Hope ends with p, which is voiceless. So we're going to add an S onto it. Hopes. Catch. Catch ends with ch, which is one of our buzzing sibilant sounds. So we need to add the syllable is onto it. Catches. Catches. Tip. So tip ends with p, a voiceless sound, so I'm going to say tips. Store. The last sound is a voiced consonant, so I'm going to add the z ending. Stores. Buzz. Buzz ends with z, one of our buzzing sounds, so I'll add the syllable is onto it. Buzzes. Buzzes. Assume. Assume ends with a voiced consonant, so I'll add z for the S sound. Assumes. Assumes. College. College ends with j, one of our buzzing sounds, so I'll add the syllable is. Colleges. Colleges. Pass. Pass ends with s, one of our buzzing sounds, so we need to add the syllable is onto the end of it. Passes. Passes. Pack. Pack ends with k, a voiceless sound, so I'm going to add s. Packs. How did you do? Hopefully you did well. If not, you should keep practicing. You can come up with your own list of words and try this out for yourself at home. Just remember to listen for the last sound of the word. Don't necessarily look for the last letter, since if it has a silent E, that might confuse you. Just say the word without the S and listen for the last sound that you hear. Is it a voiceless sound, like p, t, k? Is it a voiced sound, like v, o, d? Or is it a buzzing sound, s, z, sh, ch, j? If you can figure out what the last sound in the word is, you can also figure out how to pronounce the S ending once you add a final S onto that word. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below or visit our Facebook page and leave them there. I'm always happy to accept suggestions for new videos, and I love hearing your feedback. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on American English Daily.